Hi, this is Miss Gross here. For homework tonight, the day is December 21st, 2015. For homework tonight, we sent home a sheet called Rounded Up, where the students are going to be rounding to the nearest 10 and the nearest 100. Since our friends haven't done rounding for homework in quite some time, I wanted to send home a quick review in case they were having a little trouble remembering exactly what to do. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is going through one of the problems and reminding our friends how to solve this problem, what steps to take, and how to complete this sheet so that they'll be ready for class tomorrow. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be solving this problem over here and showing us what steps to take and how to get the correct answer. So I'm going to take it over to this next screen. And so the directions say, look at the number in each box. If the number in the pie is rounded to the nearest, I'm going to highlight this with us. If the number in the pie is rounded to the nearest 10, then color it red. If the number in the pie is rounded to the nearest 100, color it blue. If the number in the pie is not rounded to the nearest 10 or 100, color it in brown. So red is going to be tens, blue is going to be hundreds, and if it's not rounded to the nearest 10 or 100, we're going to color it brown. So first we're going to start rounding to the nearest 100. The number that we are looking at rounding is 237 up in this box. We're going to round it to the nearest 100. So in order to know what it rounds to when we're rounding to the nearest 100, we need to bring our number down so that we can put it on a number line. So the number is 237. So if I know that I'm rounding to the nearest 100, I'm going to look and I'm going to ask myself, what number is in the hundreds place? I'm going to look over and I'm going to say I know that 7's in the tens, 7 is in the ones, 3 is in the tens, and 2 is in the hundreds place. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to write out my hundreds to decide what hundreds that might fall in between. So 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, and 1,000. So knowing that 2 is in the hundreds place, I know that my number is already in between 200 and something else. And then I know the 100 right above 200 is 300. So I know that my number is going to be somewhere in between 200 and 300. Once I know the 200 that it's in between, I can take it down and slap it on my number line. Knowing that 200 is our lowest 100 over here, we're going to put it on the left side of our number line. And then 300 we're going to bring over to the right side. Now before I put 237 on my number line, I need to figure out what falls right in between 200 and 300. And I know that smack dab in between 200 and 300 is the number 250, which is right in the middle. And now that I have this, I can add 237 to my number line to see what 100 it rounds to. So when I compare my numbers to see where they are, I'm going to compare 237 with 250 to decide where I should put 237 on my number line. So when we compare, we know that we always start on the left. So the two numbers on the left are the 2 and the 2. Now, since these are the same exact number, I know I can't decide which whole number is greater and which one is smaller. So then I move on to my next place value, which is the tens. So I have the 3 and the 5. Just looking at it, I know that 5 is greater than 3, which means that 250 must be greater than 237. If that is greater, then I know that 237 has to go below 250 on the number line. Once I've placed this, I can draw arrows to see which 100 my number is closer to. I can see it's definitely not closest to 300, and it's definitely closer to 200. So when we round 237 to the hundreds place, we know that the nearest 100 is 200. So going back up here, I know that if I'm rounding to the nearest 100, it's going to be blue. So I'm going to select my blue pen. I'm going to find my pie that says 200, and I'm going to color it in blue. And there we have it, rounded to the nearest 100. Let me grab my pen. And now, once we've rounded to the nearest 100, we're going to round to the nearest 10. So let me go ahead and erase so I can clear my board. Again, we are rounding the number 237, and this time, I'll do it in purple. This time we are rounding it to the nearest 10. So we have 237 rounded to the nearest 10. Put a little smiley face. So, looking at the number 237, if I'm rounding to the nearest 10, I need to figure out which number or which digit is in my tens place. Looking at my number 237, I know 7 is in the ones, so that must mean 3 is in the tens. So for just a second, I'm going to ignore the 2. And I'm going to look and see what tens is 37 normally in between. If I don't know, I'm going to come over, write 10, 20. I'm going to write my tens out to see what tens that falls in between. Now, I know that the 3 tells me that this number is already between 30 and something else. So I know it's here. And then I know the next 10 it could be in between is 40. So I know it's in between 30 and 40. Now that I have the two tens that 200 or that 37 fall between, I can put those on my number line. So I have 30 and 40. Now, to find my middle point, I need to know what's right in between 30 and 40. And because I have two tens, I know that there's going to be a 5 in between. So right in between 30 and 40 is number 35. Now, we have this on our number line, but we need to remember that there's one number we have not included on our number line yet, which is the 200. So we're going to just put a 2 in front of every number, because remembering that these are actually 230, 235, and 240. Now that my number line is completed, I can add 237 to my number line. Comparing my numbers, I look at the 2 and the 2. Since those are the same, I have to move on to my next place value, which is in the tens. So the 3 and the 3. I can't tell which one's greater by just looking at those, so I have to keep moving on. The 7 and the 5 in the ones place. I know that the 7 is greater than 5, so this number must be greater than 235, which means that I'm going to put it above 235. It's going to be 237. I'm going to draw my arrows to see which 10 is closest, and I can see that clearly 240 is the closest 10 to 237. And when I'm rounding to the nearest 10, I'm coloring my pie in red. So I found 240. I'm going to color it in. There you go. Rounded to the nearest 100 and the nearest 10. Now 300 and 230, those ones left over, I knew those were neither of my answers, so I'm going to color it in brown according to the directions. And that is how you round to the nearest 10 and the nearest 100. Good luck with the rest of your homework, boys and girls. I can't wait to see you tomorrow, and I hope you have a good night. Bye-bye.